Okay. So, welcome and good morning or evening or afternoon, whatever time it is where you are. I'm going to, let's see, can I make that? Okay, so this is going to be a primarily all restorative yoga this morning. And it's going to be pretty simple. I invite you to prepare to really drop in and relax and restore yourself. This is all part of, well, this is an experiment doing a class like this on YouTube live. I've made a lot of videos, but nothing quite like this. So, this is all about alleviating our human stress and the intense amount of stress that we're all going through right now as the world changes. These times have been foreseen for a really long time among every wisdom tradition. So, for those of us who are aware of that, these times are not a really big surprise. But for a lot of people, they may very well be. And the stress, the tension, the resistance to the unknown, change that's happening on unprecedented levels can be really excruciating for people and frightening for people. So I wanted to create a yoga practice that would help people to reconnect, not just to relax, but to reconnect to their true center and the true source of who they are. And that's what this is going to be about today. So if I know sometimes when I'm under a lot of stress, I prefer a lot of movement. And if that's the case, then one of my other videos might serve you better. This one is going to be really focused on rest. We'll do a little bit of movement, but not much. And we're going to need some props. So I'm going to talk you through that first. The great news is if you are listening to this after it's been recorded, you can just hit the pause while you go collect your props. If you're here live, which nobody is at the moment, it's a lot more challenging for you to go and get your things, but don't worry. What I'm going to do is those of you who need to get stuff, I'll give you time to do that. Those of you who already have things ready, you're going to join me in a meditation. So you'll have about 8 minutes to collect things. And now I want to say something about the collection of props. I can remember seeing restorative yoga before I really knew what it was, before I was even teaching yoga. And I thought, wow, all that stuff, that I really wasn't interested in that kind of practice where I had to get stuff. Now that I know more about it and I've experienced, understand the value of all of that stuff, it is so supportive and lovely for the body. So don't cheat yourself from optimal comfort. Grab what you can. You don't have to necessarily have an official yoga bolster, but you'll want something to take the place of that bolster. And I'll talk about some options there. Okay, so please join me on the mat. I'm going to back up and then come back to the camera and just to give you a brief outline of what we're going to do. So we'll talk about the props. We'll do the meditation. If you need to get props, get them. We'll do a little standing movement just to get any agitation out of the body. And then we'll go into our one restorative pose that we're going to do. And then while you're in that restorative pose, I'm going to be offering you some energy healing, distance healing, and also just guiding you through. We'll just see what comes. And then we'll finish off with a little dedication. So, down to the mat. I don't know about you, but it's really cold here today. I have my boots on, so I'm going to take my boots off. And it is really important to be warm. So because we're just going to be resting and the body temperature will drop. So make sure that you have, your socks on, your woolies, your hat, whatever you need for the temperature you're in. Okay, so this is what you'll need. You'll need at least 3 blankets, little blankets. If you don't have them, you can substitute with a bath towel. So 3 bath towels. And then you'll also need a bolster or something to substitute a yoga bolster. Now, let me just show you. So I'm sure some of you will know what this is. Others of you might not be familiar. So, and so you can use a stack of blankets to substitute for this. You could use a couple of bed pillows. You want some kind of, you can see how thick this is and it's fairly firm. So as much as you can replicate that, you're in good shape. Okay. And then also, once you get those, and I'm going to give you time to get them, then you'll want to set up. And I'll leave this set up here so you'll be able to see it while you're preparing. So at the head, you're going to want to take a blanket, and this one is folded in half here, and then in quarters, and then one more time for a square, and that's going to go right at the head. Okay. And then you'll have another blanket folded in half, and then again, so quarters. And this one is going to be in an S fold. So you'll fold it about a third and then fold it back on itself about a third. So that's the second fold. And then I have another one here, and this one can be optional. I just find it comfortable. You could also substitute with an extra bolster if you want to use 2 bolsters to get a little more height. You can use a round knee bolster if you happen to have one of these kinds of things. You could also use a rolled up mat if you have an extra yoga mat, but those are a little harder, so just be aware. This is nice and soft, and so it feels pleasant on the back of the knees. So this extra blanket here, again, folded in half here, and then I roll it at the long edge to create a roll. Hello, kitten. That's Tiger Lily. Okay. And that just goes on your bolster. Okay. So while you are finding your props and setting them up as you see here, we're going to start a meditation. If you're getting your props, don't worry about the meditation. And then just join us in the meditation when you can. So for the meditation, sit in any comfortable meditative posture you would like. Oh, and I will also say that if you want an extra blanket to cover yourself when we're in our pose, that might be really nice, especially if it's cold where you are. So you might actually want 4 blankets instead of 3. The other thing that you might enjoy is having an eye pillow if you have one. If you don't, again, don't worry about it. But I will say, do investigate for yourself whether or not this would be something worth your while, because it does add a whole other dimension of comfort. I made mine. It's just an old sleeve from a long sleeve shirt filled with salt, a kilogram of salt. So it's a nice weight. And then I have another long sleeve over it that's just a little softer. And Kitty likes square folds, don't you? So you can have some kind of eye pillow or even just something to cover your eyes to keep the light out. And then finally, one more thing. and I know that it's a lot of stuff, right? Restorative yoga is a lot of work to prepare for. There's just a lot of stuff. And it can be a ritual of self-care to gather these things and place them with care and with love. The other thing that you might enjoy is some essential oil that you like, whatever. This is lavender, and just have that nearby as well. Okay, so that was the list of props. Those of you who are ready, you can join me in meditation. Again, if you still need to work out the props, do that first, and then come join in the meditation. So any comfortable seated position, sitting up nice and tall with the spine straight. Start to just notice your breath. Notice if you're breathing all the way down to the belly, or more so in the chest. And you feel any expansion through the rib cage. And as you settle into the breath, just notice the weight of the body. Notice what you're holding away from the ground. And release it. Release it towards the ground. Let the ground be your support. We're becoming still. Stillness is one of the 3 precious pills. It's an antidote to the busyness of life. So take that antidote into the awareness of stillness. Notice that things may arise within that stillness. Thoughts, sensations. There is space for all of it. Realize that you are giving yourself time and space right now to rest, to stop the ceaseless activity of the week past, to stop that imagining and preparation for the week ahead. Just be here now. Deep breath. Let's place the hands at the heart in Anjali Mudra. Thumbs touching the sternum. And be really aware of this sacred space that you've created for your practice. All of your props awaiting your precious body to hold you. And allow you to receive. And then you can gently open your eyes. Voila, tiger lily. Apparently she likes the S fold too. Hello, pumpkin. You know what? Mommy needs that. Aw, she's so cute. And she's such a good teacher because she knows how to have optimal comfort. All right. The rest of you, you can sit the bolster or blankets that you have here with the long roll, and just place your legs over. Oh, you know what? I wanted to do something else first. So let's do that first. So in case there's any agitation in the body, I just want to do some standing stretches. Okay. And that will let her be for a little while longer. So come to standing with your feet about hip width apart, please. And first, just feel, there she goes. First, just feel through both feet, feel the weight and how it is distributed through the feet. Become aware of how your joints feel from all of the toes to the ankles, the knees and hips, to the earth. And then allow the spine to grow from the waist up into the space above the head. Maybe the palms open slightly forward to feel slight opening of the shoulders and chest. And just breathe and enjoy. Enjoy being in a body. Enjoy the change that happens with these little adjustments. We'll interlace the fingers and then extend the hands, palms out to the front and rounding through, head down, chin to chest. Breathe there, feeling that opening through the back of the spine, especially between the shoulder blades. On the next inhale, raise the arms overhead, pressing up, lengthening through the spine even more now, opening through the sides of the spine, feeling the ribs separate. And then back down towards the floor. We'll repeat that. So palms pressing on the outside, forward. A breath here. On the next inhale, raising up overhead. And then releasing back. Good. Okay, and then we're going to kind of have an archer's pull. So imagine that you've got this bow or this string, a rubber band in your hands, and you're going to pull one arm strong and long, and then one arm back, keeping that elbow parallel to the ground. So you're just going to feel a stretch through the arm line all the way across. So opening to one side, and then back to center, and then opening to the other side. So here too, when you open, there's a bit of a drawing together of the shoulder blades. Exhaling as you come back to center, inhaling and open. Again, one more time each. Good, and go ahead and release that. And stand with the feet a little wider apart. We're going to have the toes facing slightly out. And then just come into a nice deep plie. We want to make sure that the knees are no further beyond the toes. They should be at least right over the toes. And just come into whatever depth feels good for you. And then you can have your hands on your thighs to give a little bit of support. See if you can find your core here. So really engage this whole corset around the waist, maybe even drawing the belly back towards the spine and up. And then drop one shoulder in and slightly twist. And then back to center, and then drop the other shoulder in. And you're welcome to hold and stretch, or if you want to just go back and forth for a bit, at whatever pace works for you. When you're ready, go ahead and come straight again. Draw your feet in back to about hip width. We have one more stretch to do. So on this next one, we're going to be opposing arms, one up, one down. Okay, so bring the hands to the center of the chest in Anjali Mudra. And then on the inhale, you'll raise one arm, at the same time lowering the other to earth. So just feel this line across through the arms now as you breathe in and reach, and then hands back to the chest. And then the other side, in and reach. Breathing in and reach. Exhale back and in and reach. Good. Now we're ready for our restorative pose. So come on down to your mat with your feet facing and over the bolster here, or blankets, or whatever you chose and found. And while you are here for a moment with your feet hopefully on the ground, if you have two bolsters, you're a little higher and your feet aren't quite touching the ground, you might want something under your feet too. But let's just take a moment here just to do a little stretch through the chest and rounding through the spine. So a little cat-cow here. Breathing in as you come forward, exhaling back. And then the next time you round back, take your chin to your chest and walk your hands back behind you. Now what we want to find is this S-folded blanket. We want that to be right about in line with the bra strap, or the bottom of the scapula, the wing bones. So try to find the right position there. And then with the blanket that's under your head, you might want to just roll the end of it and place that right under the neck. Not too big, leaving some to catch your head. Now, you want to make sure that your shoulders are able to rest on the ground. If this blanket is too high, then your shoulders won't be able to relax. So make sure that this is low enough, but not so low that it's touching the lower part of the spine or the curve of the lower back. So we want it right under the middle back, right about, you could feel your fingertips right on your sternum where we have Anjali Mudra. Just place your fingertips there, open your arms out from there, and that's about where you would want this blanket or towel or whatever you got. So once we arrive here, we want to take the time to become as comfortable as possible. So there might be adjustments you need to make. Maybe the roll under your knees isn't quite right and you need to readjust that. Maybe this second blanket is either too high or too low. Maybe this roll is not quite large enough for your neck, or maybe it's too large, or maybe you don't want it at all. You just want a flat blanket there. So part of restorative yoga and the blessing of restorative yoga is that it helps us become more and more aware of what's comfortable and what is not, until we can find supreme comfort, impeccable comfort. And we don't often, and I used to be an elementary school teacher, and there were times when I needed to use the restroom and I just couldn't because I had a classroom full of kids. And I'm using that example because how many times do we go through a day when we need to use the restroom, or we need to eat to bring us comfort, or we're too hot or we're too cold, and we don't do anything. We don't try to change it because we think we can't, or we're in situations where we truly can't. All of that gets internalized and becomes habit until we don't even realize that we're not listening to the body. We're disconnected from it. We're not honoring its needs. So restorative yoga, one of the benefits out of many benefits, is this learning how to make ourselves more comfortable. Okay, so we're now in this position, and here now you can maybe cover yourself with the extra blanket if you're cold. Like I'm feeling my feet are cold, so I get them covered. You can grab your essential oil and use a little drop on your hands. Come on. Uh-oh. Almost out. Rub it in the hands. And that's, of course, if you know that it's not a problem for your skin. Lavender tends to be very safe, but you could always put the drop on your eye pillow instead. And then just bring your hands to your nose and take a few deep breaths there. And the last thing will be, if you have an eye pillow of some kind or covering for your eyes, you can then place that on your eyes. Now this is, as I mentioned earlier, it's a kilogram of salt. So it's kind of like a bean bag. It's got some weight to it. And I love placing it on my forehead. And I make little pockets for my eyes by pressing into the salt. And this provides a really nice weight on the forehead, which is fabulous for getting rid of anxieties and worries and all that mental stuff. And then the last thing I have that I didn't mention before, maybe I should have, I apologize. If you have any extra weight, it can be extra blankets, it can be extra pillows, it can be a book. Use that on the belly, and that helps to rest the tissue there and release towards the support of the ground. So this is the position we'll be in for the next few minutes. And I invite you to stay as you are. I'm going to be coming to the computer close because I want to offer you, as you are working, some distance energy healing. And now my cat is on my chair. Okay. So you're resting in your pose, breathing, softening, deepening. You can learn more about open source energy healing on divinemetime.com. You can also watch a really short video on YouTube if you want to know more about that. Let me say something about the energy healing. If there's anybody out there who's working through this and you don't want the energy healing, the fact that you don't want it is enough of a boundary that will prevent you from receiving it. So you have that option. I'm not going to force anything upon you, but I offer it here for you for the benefit of your own healing. And so just continue to relax and deepen your breath, making it more rhythmic, slower, fuller. Now, for those of you choosing to receive, you might want to imagine a light entering your body. From the crown of your head, a bright, sparkling white light moving down into your body, and centering in those places where you feel pain or aches or stiffness, where you've had injury. And allow the light to do its work, bringing warmth, bringing healing and wholeness, bringing holiness. Just breathe. Feel and sense. And relax deeper. This is your divine me time. Allow yourself to be cared for, to be soothed, to be held. Just noticing sensation. And opening to receive what would most serve you. Cultivating once more that stillness. Stillness is always there. We just need to and learn to rest in it from time to time. Especially when we feel overwhelmed or stressed, anxious. Remember that stillness, becoming aware of that stillness, is the antidote to all the activity of our lives. To that hamster wheel. So enjoy this precious moment of ceasing activity and resting as you are. And not just resting, but remembering. And receiving. Take a deep breath. I am going to invite you now to join me in 3 ohms. So we'll breathe in together. So we'll prepare to come out of the pose. To do so, go ahead and throw off any blanket that happens to be covering you and remove the eye pillow if you were using one, or any other weight that you had on the body. And the first thing I'm going to do is remove that middle blanket under the thoracic or middle spine. So you can just pull that out from under you by lifting your back up and remove that. And then we're going to bring one knee to the chest. So left or right doesn't really matter. Just draw it in towards your chest. And then with the other leg, you're going to push the bolsters out of your way so you can straighten that leg long. And just stretch through the groin of the long leg, bringing that knee into your chest, keeping your head and shoulders on the ground. Some nice deep breaths here. Relaxing through that lower spine. And then let's some deep breaths here as well. And then when you're ready, go ahead and bring in both knees to the chest and just hold either behind the knees or maybe over the shins. And you can begin to rock gently side to side. And maybe turning your head in opposition to your knees if that's comfortable. If not, you might want to remove the cervical. Keep the head straight. Again, we're allowing ourselves to go as slow as molasses. Instead of rushing around, anticipating the next thing. And then when you're ready, drop your knees and roll to one side, just curling up. You can grab a blanket or refold a blanket to support your head more. You can also grab a bolster or other blankets if you want something to hug. And we'll just rest on our sides momentarily here. Just feeling that curling up in that primal position around its spine. Allowing yourself to feel maybe a little more tender and open. But also if you're hugging either yourself with your arms or holding a bolster here, know that your heart is protected even as it's open and vulnerable. Just let out a few sighs. Take a deep breath. And on the exhale, allow a sigh. And then move anything that you might be holding in front of you out of the way. We're going to use that upper arm. Press it gently into the floor. We're going to turn the head nose to the ground and let the head be heavy as we round up through the spine, head coming up last into a seated position. So whatever you need to do to be seated comfortably, using a cushion under your bottom blanket, or sitting on your knees or in a chair. Just take a little note of how that practice felt for you. What parts of it were easy? What parts of it was there resistance? What parts of it just flowed for you? Become aware of how you're feeling emotionally. Be aware of the mind and the state of the mind. And also the physical body. Do you feel more relaxed, more at peace? More aligned with that stillness that's always present. Deep breath. And then bring your hands to your heart. Give a little bow to yourself for taking on the challenge of relaxing and this deep restorative practice. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. So I think it's important when we do these kinds of practices for ourselves, these deeply healing, restorative practices, whatever they may be, whether it's yoga or something else, that we do them not just for ourselves, that we offer up whatever we receive as a result of the practice to others. So let's dedicate this practice now to the benefit of all beings. So all beings may know the end of suffering, and all beings may know peace. And may you go in peace to love and to serve. Thank you. So I just want to say that that normally I would be doing a session like this one-to-one, and that I tend to really tailor the sessions to the individual, including visualizations, mantras, mudras, different restorative poses, different types of gentle movement, the energy healing, guided meditations. And if you're interested in learning more about that, please visit divinemetime.com and let me know if you practice through the whole video, or a portion of it, what you thought. Be sure to give it a like if you so desire. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. And check out everything else I have to offer here in terms of yoga, meditation, and wisdom, sound healing practices for our flourishing in this life. Take care.